Hey, first family, Pastor David here. Grab you a cup of something hot and yummy and let's talk go and tell. But while you do that, don't forget to give our YouTube channel a like. Make sure you subscribe, click that notification bell to not miss any videos because videos do post without warning. And if you like this video, comment on it or share it with a friend. That really helps us get this information and content out to others in our church and in our greater Go and Tell community. So I am excited to announce today that you are about to experience an amazing interview with two of our awesome World Changers staff, Jules and Noah. And I am not going to give you any more introduction to that. We are just going to jump right into it. So enjoy. Well, hey, First Family, I am joined today with two very special guests. I'd get more in here, but there's only so much room crammed around my laptop and webcam.
Yeah.
So it is Winshape. In case you cannot tell, I've got my volunteer shirt on, my official Winshape badge. They've got their name tag and the coolest shirts of the week. So I'm so glad we're doing this today. And I will point out all the amazing Buckies on Noah's shirt. They are fantastic. But we're not here to talk about Buckies. Although we may have another video series just on Buckies if we get Miss Anna in here because she loves Buckies, which we will be going to Buckies during World Changes for a break. More on that, though. But today, I just wanted to have a chance to talk about Winshape. I know for a lot of you, you are very much all in on Winshape. You've sent your kids here, but I know a lot of our church, because of just life stage, work, things like that, you hear us talk about Winshape. Yeah. It happens, but between Sunday to Sunday, like there's no evidence. Like you go to church one Sunday, it's like everything's normal. You come back the next Sunday, everything looks normal. But the in between, you have no idea what is actually happening on our campus when we have kids from the community come to Winshape Camp. So I'm going to give these two just a chance to quickly introduce who they are and where they're from, because Winshape is not a local thing. It's nationwide. So our Winshape staff, they come from all kinds of places and backgrounds, and so I'm going to give them a chance to introduce themselves real quick.
Wonderful. You want to go first?
Sure. I'm Noah Cowan. I'm the volunteer director for Purple Team. I'm from North Carolina.
Yes, sweet. My name is Jules Malden. I am the camp director for the Purple Team. I'm from Atlanta, but I go to Auburn University, so I live in Alabama. I'll be a senior in the fall. I'm in their nursing program. So fun stuff.
Fantastic. And so both of you guys were here last year. Is that correct?
I was.
Yep.
I was
Yes.
here
Okay.
This is my third year.
Third
here.
year. All right.
Wow.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So last year was my first experience with Winshape because we were brand new to the area, and my girls had a great time. So just give us in a nutshell, what is Winshape?
Yeah. Well, our mission statement is that Winshape camps exist to glorify God by creating transformative or experiences that transform campers and families with the message of Jesus Christ. So at the end of the day, it's a summer camp, of course. We are here for a week in the summer. But really all we do is things that point back to our Creator. We create experiences that campers can immerse themselves in. They can feel connected. It can be like a little slice of heaven almost. And we glorify God through the whole thing. If it might be through dodgeball, feeling a sense of community like team sports, or if it's in team time, you're learning the word of God, you're getting poured into by people who are a little bit older than you. If it's in our Audi sessions, you're hearing from someone on stage who's telling you the truth, or in worship, giving our praise back to him. It's all really specifically designed to kind of get us in a rhythm of a life with Jesus where nothing is off limits to him. That all of our work and all of our fun is all for him. It can glorify him, and it's wonderful, truly.
Yeah. I say that I love seeing everyone engage with camp. Like everything is to glorify God, and I get the honor of working with the volunteers and seeing them, whether that's their first year volunteering, their second year, how many years they have volunteering, just going in and figuring out what it looks like, and then by day 2 they're experts and just doing everything for God's glory. It's such a privilege to be able to get to see that.
Yeah, and to that too, since his job is with the volunteers, Winshape, we travel with, there's 23 of us, staffers, 23 staffers. That's usually like college-aged people. But more than that, we have a lot of volunteers this week because Winshape is a community effort, which is really cool from our part. So we have overnight camps, but we are part of the day camp experience. So we rely very heavily on the church in their support and their people, because Noah talks about it in his meeting, but there's a whole other 51 weeks of the year that we're not here. So we try this week to just go alongside the church and equip the volunteers to really take up these relationships and continue the work that the Lord already started at Winshape, but it doesn't have to end at Winshape, and it's not really about us, right? It's about the relationships that continue after. So
I think that's one of the beautiful things about Winshape is that, yes, like 23 like staffers come in and they run this camp, and the kids fall in love with them. They make these connections, but you guys leave and you go into another camp, or the summer comes to an end, and because we have a big volunteer base from our church, these kids also get to meet and fall in love with members of FBCW. And so that when the amazing staff team heads out, they still have connections with us, the local church, that we can continue that. And I think that's so key, because I think a lot of times when you have like, this is like a short-term mission camp mashup in a lot of ways. And so a lot of times with short-term missions, you lose the local church connection, because people come in, it's an amazing week, they leave, and with that leaves that Christ connection, that relationship. And this does not kind of leave these kids hanging. Like, we are still here. And so that's a wonderful thing for it. And Winshape, if you drive past our church during Winshape, it looks like camp. I mean, it is high energy. It's super colorful. There's a lot of things going on, but the underlying thing that's driving all of it is the gospel, and that's why we do Winshape. I mean, we could do any number of things for our kids and for the community this summer. We choose to do Winshape because it aligns with our mission as a church to make disciples of all nations. And so we love having the community kids here. It's a lot of fun. Let's talk a little bit about just like some things that are a little bit unique about Winshape. I mean, you guys have these tribes, these villages that you divide kids in, and that causes for a nonstop cacophony of chants that are ringing through the halls, and we love that for a week. But so, just what are the village experiences that the campers get to be a part of?
So there's 3 different villages. Starts off with Ocean, which is the completed kindergarten, completed first grade, and they will have all the different kind of ocean animals. I think my favorite one is probably the sea otters in that one, because they have a little like sea otter clap. And then there's Safari, which I'm frenemies with because my heart goes to Alpine. But for Safari, that's our completed 2nd grade and completed 3rd grade. If I had to choose a favorite animal in that one, as much as Ross is going to attack me for it, I would probably say the zebras. I think they're really cool. And then we have our completed 4th, 5th, and this week 6th graders as well in Alpine, and they will. My favorite, because I was the Eagles leader last year, has to be the Eagles. I'm also a Philadelphia Eagles fan, so y'all can come and attack me for that. That's fine. I've been attacked for it before, so that's nothing new.
And it's kind of sweet too, because with these age groups, it's of course going to be a very different programming for a kindergarten versus a 6th grader. But when you do split up into villages like age groups, it really gets to kind of hone in on what those kids are like. But even in training, we get really specific instruction of like, how do you reach these kids like at this age level, at this kind of mental capacity? How do you like respond to them well and teach them well? To build them up. So kind of their village creates a sense of unity upon them, and that's where all the cheering comes from. Of like they're kind of all at like it's healthy competition, but like battling at the end of the week for a village trophy is what we call it. So there's just lots of like intimate moments with just your team time, which is part of the big village, and then all 3 villages get together at some points in the day to like kind of have their face off and stuff. But it just kind of creates for good relationships to be formed at an appropriate age level.
And they definitely get into the whole competition and the cheers. And so obviously, there's times of Bible study, there's times of worship, but of course there's also the fun element to Winshape, and that mainly comes to like rec and skills, right? And so what are some of the skills that Winshape offers these kids to experience while they're here this week?
Yeah, some outdoor ones we do just like the normal soccer, yard games, archery. We do some do flag football, bounce. Those are, there's a handful of outdoor ones, and then indoor could be something like wacky science or crafts, painting, rocketry, which is like rocket building class.
Love rockets.
Secret ops, which is like a way to be an undercover, like really nice person. It's such a creative, fun skill. But like all of those, even which another cool part about Winshape is that each staffer is assigned to teach that one skill twice a day. So they're really, really, really good at kind of perfecting this one thing that campers maybe have never tried archery before, because they don't have access to it if they live in a city, right? But Eli, our guy, he's created this kind of curriculum that Winshape's helped him, and they get to learn, they get to go through the steps. But at the end of it, which I always love, is they have a Devo, a skill Devo, which would be like 3 minutes-ish of like how this really fun activity is also glorifying to God, how we can create, or how we can connect all of it back to Him, in that it's not just like team time and Audie is Jesus and rec and skills is like awesome fun. It's like it's all Jesus and it's all fun in just different capacities. So I love it. I think they're so fun, and they get to try out 4 different ones throughout the week.
Fantastic. I know my girls always love the whole skills aspect of it, and and sometimes kids find themselves, because of like popularity of different skills, maybe in a skill that they didn't sign up for, but they end up loving it anyway. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about just how great the team is that's teaching that, and just the variety of skills that are offered. I mean, I was out with archery a couple of days ago, and like it was a little bit hilarious. These kids had never picked up a bow and arrow. They've been watching TV and movies, and they're realizing this is not how it goes. But they were having so much fun learning, and they're encouraging one another. As they're like shooting the ground and shooting over the targets, and all this stuff. And it was great, and nobody lost an eye or anything like that.
You, Jesus.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then you get to see them get involved with the other things. They come up and like they want to show you what they've made with like the cooking stuff or wacky science.
Yeah.
That's really popular, and they're always making crazy weird stuff. And so Winshape is, it is an all-day thing. This thing kicks off at 8:15. You drop off your kids. It goes to 5. Yeah. But it's nonstop. It's a good time for the kids. But more importantly than that, it's spiritual formation. It is getting the gospel to kids, many of whom have really never heard of it before. And I know today, the day we're filming this, it is Gospel Wednesday.
Yes.
Yep.
And so that is the special day set aside for each Winshape camp to basically bring this gospel message like to its conclusion, right? And so I like the fact that it's Gospel Wednesday and not Gospel Thursday.
Yeah.
Because I like the fact that we get one more day to talk to these kids.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of times camps puts the gospel presentation closer to the end, kind of a wrap-up thing. We do it like right in the middle, and I love that. But just for one last thing, as we've been talking about the gospel, and since today's Gospel Wednesday, how do you guys structure that and work that into the schedule for the day? How is that being presented to kids, given the fact that you've got the ocean, like you've got the young kids, and you go all the way up to Alpine, our 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. Kids are all different in how they take in that information. So how do you guys work with the team and work with our volunteers to communicate the gospel on this particular day that we set aside for that at Winshape?
Before the day starts, we have volunteer meetings. In the volunteer meeting, volunteers are told a little bit about what the day is going to look like in terms of Gospel Wednesday. whether it's like going over the SATs or today's truth for Gospel Wednesday is God's plan all along is for us to belong. And so one thing I try to emphasize is bringing a sense of belonging into camp, because if they don't feel like they belong at camp, how can we be trying to show them that they belong in the kingdom if that's not something that they're aware of, that they belong here? So we start off with that, making volunteers aware of that. But then as camp goes on, as students are feeling that belonging, they jump into Wake Up, where they hear a little snippet about it. And then they're going to go into Rec, their regular day schedule. But when they get to worship, that's when the gospel is being presented. We use 4 specific images. The first one is the heart, to show that God loves. And then we have a broken heart that shows that we sinned. And then we have a cross that shows that God gave, and then a gift that shows that we receive. And all those images are just a super easy way to just make sure that campers understand the whole gospel story. The fact that we can't bring anything to the table, but God brings it to us, but that we also were the one that severed that connection. Because I think there's a lot of times when people are presented with the gospel, they're just told, hey, like they're told like one side of it, like more than 50%, because it is a like, hey, you messed up, you did sin, and you're fallen short of the glory of God, but there's a grace and a gift that the Lord has for you. And I think Winshape does a great job, and Roadster Ross on stage does a phenomenal job presenting both sides to that we did sin, but the Lord is ready to just pick you right up and to show you where he wants to lead you. And then following that, they'll have an opportunity to fill out what's called an SAT, not the standardized test. Although, I mean, if it was for free, that maybe you'd appreciate that. But the SAT just goes over where they are in their walk with the Lord. It's just to gauge where that is. And then they also, in that SAT, will ask, hey, do you want to have a follow-up conversation about this? Because this week, obviously, they've been hearing about the gospel. They've been hearing what the Lord's done through David's life, and seeing what the Lord might want to do through theirs. So they have the opportunity to hop out of their team time for a little bit, have a brief conversation. And we've been blessed this whole summer with a lot of salvations. I don't know the exact number, but it's been, I don't know, it's hard to not cry every single time I hear the number, because whether that's one camper or that's 50 campers, it's all new brothers and sisters we're having, that we get to see them in heaven for eternity. And that's why we do it. Like, we can have so much fun at Rec. We could spray kids with water guns. They could be like, hey, as much as they want to. But the main purpose of all of it is to glorify God and to have new brothers and sisters come into the fold and come to his family. And I don't know, it's just, today's my favorite day because of that. I should probably stop talking, because I will talk about Gospel Wednesday for forever. But it is, I don't know, it's such a blessing to have these volunteers as well jump into it, because y'all are here for the other 51 weeks. Y'all are here to be able to walk alongside them, to mentor these kids. Some of the kids come from families where the gospel is being presented on a daily basis. Other campers come from a background where that's just not happening, where they are far from that. But them being here is not by mistake, and they have the opportunity to accept Christ, but also to have people in this community pour into them. They also have the opportunity to know whether they go to church or not. That's one of the questions. And people of y'all's church, obviously, as long as it's okay with the parents, can take them to church and have them being continually poured into. Whatever that looks like, y'all as the community have that opportunity to bless these kids with that, which I love that it's not just, like you were saying, just goodbye, see ya. It's ready and equipping the church to continue following alongside these kids.
Absolutely, and that is why we do Winshape. I mean, it's about today. This is what we're aiming for with all the promotion, all the sign-ups, all the volunteer training we do, all the prep that you guys do on Sunday afternoon and evening to transform our building. I mean, it's all leading up to this this day. This is what it's all about. And so I need to let these guys get back to their jobs. We are filming this right in the middle of the morning, and so this is not like after hours. So stuff is happening all over the place. So I just want to thank Jules and Noah so much for giving this time and just helping us to learn more about Winshape, what it is, why we do it, and why, if you haven't had a chance to get your kids plugged in, we want to see them next summer because making disciples of the next generation is a big part of what it means to make disciples as we go and tell. So thank you guys.
You're welcome. Yay. Thanks for watching. Hope you all see you next year.